the 80s won a decade-long battle to have his case brought before a jury instead of a judge.
In front of a jury, we think in San Francisco we can always get a fair trial.
Is that an important difference for you?
It's a real big difference. It's a difference between democracy and a totalitarian state trying to figure out a way to take anyone and put them away.
The California Supreme Court ruled this way. Theaters like the Mitchell brothers may be called public nuisances by some, but their owners are still entitled to a jury trial to challenge a judge's court order against them. The court decided that because the fines and jail time for violating court orders in California can be as much as the maximum for most criminal misdemeanors. Since those cases may go before a jury, so now may these. In San Francisco, Chuck Coppola for CNN.
This story just into headline news.
In the land of the free, raised in the woods so you knew every tree, killed him a bar when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier, fought single-handed through the Indian war, till the creek was whipped and peace wasn't sore, and while he was handling the twisty shore, made himself a legend forevermore. Davy Crockett, the man who don't know fear. He went off to Congress and he served a spell, fixing up the government and laws as well. Took over Washington, so we heard tell, and patched up the tracks in the Liberty Bell. Davy Crockett, singing his duty clear. When he come home, his politicking done. The Western March had just begun, so he packed his gear and his trusty gun, and lit out a grinning to follow the sun. Davy Crockett, and now West again.
An exercise in elementary perception, ladies and gentlemen. No chicanery is involved, no natural laws of violence. See for yourself, neither voodoo, hoodoo, nor Hindu. Prestidigitation, ladies and gentlemen, an old and honorable art. Now watch the little piece, and now you see it, and now you don't. Who will try his luck?
Amazing.
For coming on our show, Bill, or should I watch my language with you? As I mentioned to the audience, I was going
patient died of the disease.
Hello, welcome to our show, Sabrina On. I am your host, Sabrina Aset, the High Priestess of the Church of the Most High Goddess. As I always promise you, I'm back with another exciting and informative show. Today's topic is on a very exciting event that takes place every Valentine's Day. No, I don't get naked and go running around playing Cupid, but that would be fun. This is the annual XRCO Awards, lovingly called the Heart-Ons. That's with a T, Heart-Ons, though it has a lot to do with the other sounding award, as this is the awards given by the X-rated Film Critics Organization. And usually, those of you who have watched my show know that I give you sort of a little historical background, but since my guest tonight is actually the father of the awards, I'm going to let him tell you more about the history of the awards. My guest tonight is none other than the notorious Bill Margold, as he is very well known from his own business card, which claims that God created man, William Margold created himself. And he created a lot of other people in the adult film industries. In fact, Bill was the director on the only and first erotic film that I did. That was When Love Came to Town, in which I played the wife of Joey Silvera, a psychiatrist who was going to rehabilitate poor Stephanie Rage, who had been rather abused from her life on the street. A lot of people have asked me, well, why, as a priestess, did I do an erotic film? They consider that somewhat unpious for me to run around without my clothes on, having sex with other people in front of thousands of viewing audience. Well, anciently, of course, the Hieros Gamos is a very well-documented ritual that took place anciently in front of the whole congregation. The high priestess of the religion would actually have vaginal intercourse with the ruler of the country to bring prosperity and blessings to the land. So for a priestess to have sex in front of thousands of people is really nothing unusual. And since our religion believes that men are created in the image and likeness of God and women in the image and likeness of the goddess, and by that we mean the whole body, not just the spirit, not just the face, but God and goddess also have sexual genitals also. So there's nothing wrong with the body, and also, what better way to show that I practice what I preach? We believe sex is something wholesome. To portray it on film is fine with me. And Bill is not only known as being a director, he's also been a writer, a spokesperson for the industry, again, in front of the Nice Commission. He is known for also having an organization of Fox, F-O-X-E, the film organization for fans of the adult industry, in which he espouses that, of course, freedom isn't free, so those of us who really want to continue to see erotic films have to band together to be able to support any fights for our freedoms. And we're going to have a clip which will show us a bit of the very first XRCO Awards, and then we'll bring our guest, Bill Margold, right on. So we'll be right back with Bill.
Validate the image of John C. Holmes forever.
But I must say something about one person. I have to. This particular man is in a class by himself. They can give 1,000 of these Hall of Fame awards out, but this man holds his own place. He is this business. His name is synonymous with this business, and I would like to give him my own tribute to somebody that I think just is it, and 1,000 years from now they'll be still talking about him, Mr. John Holmes.
Thank
thank you for coming on our show, Bill. Or should I watch my language with you? As I mentioned to the audience, I was going to let you explain the history of the show. So tell me, how did you come up with the Heart-On?
Well, the Heart-On Award, and I might as well show you what it is a wooden heart. I guess it's sort of a redwood byproduct with an X branded on it that's given out from the XRCO's heart to the recipients every Valentine's Day. And it was created into the face of a great deal of corruption that existed in the early 1980s in the adult community, where awards were simply bought by an organization known as the Adult Film Association of America, the AFAA. We, the critics, began to feel very disgruntled about the corruption that ran rampant in this organization, and essentially put together a group of honest critics. Truth and honor is our slogan, that would then give out awards on Valentine's Day to those deserving of what we were going after, which became the heat and the meat. The heat being the women and the meat being the men. Up to that point, the industry was simply awarding best movie and best cinematography and best makeup and best costume. We really didn't want to emulate the Oscars. We wanted to be our own award situation, and since it was an award given with a lot of love and a lot of affection from the critics who have to watch this stuff, we figured we would give it to the kids, the performers, as I always call them, the kids, with a great deal of love and affection.
Now, I noticed in the program from the show that you do happen to mention that we include the X in our name because X is the nature of our business. So you're very proud of this being an X-rated. As you said, you don't want to copy or be like the Academy Awards.
No, we have no interest in being quote-unquote legitimate, because we like what we are. We are the outlaws, we are the rebels, we are the last stand against everything that is conveniently normal in society's eyes.
So I'm reading your jacket, XRCO, that's the X-rated
Critics Organization.
When was that founded?
It was founded in 1984. It was created in my mind about 5 years before that, when a gentleman said to me that the least important people in the industry are the performers, that the people who deserve all the credit are the producers and the directors and the people with the money. I don't have any use for money. I hate the establishment. So I said to him that one day he would eat those words. Around 1984, after a movie called Virginia won some awards through the AFAA, which is a lousy film, we decided that we would have our own award show, and we simply put one together and went to Gazzari's on the Sunset Strip, and in 1985, February 14th, 1985, had our first show. During that show, that was where that clip that's just been shown came from, we had some problems. The lights blew out. About 15 minutes into the show, the transformer blew out. We were taping the show, overloaded, and it went black. Everybody wandered out into the parking lot, and we said, well, maybe the show's over and that's the end of the XRCO. And I said, no, everything will be all right. And within 2 hours, the show started up again. And from that emotional moment, the emotion carried on that night and has carried on through the 6th show that just took place down in Santa Monica Pier, where you were there and you saw the emotion. It's done because we care for the performers. And as I said when I introduced the show, we're honored to be in their presence. Another thing that used to happen in the industry is they used to charge the performers to come to the event. The show is staged for the performers, and the performers are charged nothing. It's their night. We want them to be there and enjoy themselves and be themselves. So anything that takes place at these shows is totally unscripted and uninhibited.
Yes, I noticed the dress was very uninhibited. It was a shame it was so cold, because everyone was wearing these very luscious, net, lacy, see-through, nothing underneath outfits, and we unfortunately had to be all bundled up.
But that's the name of the game, because they're X-rated performers and they want to show off and they're under no pressure. I did invite for the first time the public to participate through Fox, fans of X-rated entertainment. We have 250 members nationwide at this point, and that's all predicated on the situation that freedom isn't free. And it was most defiantly said in a recent Gentleman's Quarterly magazine, where I said, if America refuses to admit that it masturbates, then it shouldn't be upset when Congress takes away its genitalia. And to that extent, I have 250 members now in fans of X-rated entertainment, and 50 of those fans paid $50 apiece to attend the show. They pay $25 a year to register in the organization. They paid $50 more to be there. And since the show, I've had one call after another, people saying it was the greatest night of their lives, because they came and saw their heroes up close and personal. And it was very, very touching. And I also staged a moment during the show, if you remember, called the First Fan of X-rated Entertainment Awards, Fox Favorite Awards, where I brought up a couple of performers and a member of the organization, a man named Albert Muckerman, a little man who helped found the organization, and a sales representative, and we gave out the first 2 fan favorite awards, one of them going to Nina Hartley and the other going to Peter North.
Yes, that was very nice. Do you send out, how do you then get the fans? You send out ballots to
yes,
the members?
Yes, in the second mailer, we have, anybody who joins gets a mailer every 3 months. It's a newsletter which brings them up to date with what's going on in the industry. And in the second mailer, which went on in December, I put out a ballot, which I want interactiveness between the members of the organization and the people who run it, which is myself and essentially the lady I live with, Viper. We run the organization at this point, and it's going to hopefully grow out of our control, which I would like. And I asked them to vote for their male and female favorites. They voted for 3 in each category, and it was an overwhelming number of points for Nina Hartley and Peter North that won them the awards.
That was the only 2 categories.
There was also a couple of other categories. I asked for favorite film of all time and also favorite sex scene of all time. Oh. And articles about those 2 elements will run in the Hollywood Press at a future issue.
Oh, that should be really interesting to hear.
Well, I use the Hollywood Press as the primary immediate organ for FOXC. However, I've been told that people will now have an opportunity to join through a lot of major magazines which are going to take up the ad from the Adult Video Association through Fox, and space has been donated by a number of major men's adult magazines to hopefully promote Fox and encourage people to join. It isn't much money that we're asking, but we're asking them to show their support for the X-rated industry. I want to create a grassroots movement of 100,000 members. I look forward to having by next year at the XRCO show, which will be called the Magnificent Seventh, probably 100 to 200 Fox members attending that award show.
And the purpose of Fox, then, is to get members involved in protecting their, rights?
Their rights to watch X-rated material, their right to read X-rated material, their right to be, essentially it protects their right to call themselves consenting adults.
That sounds like something that's needed, because people tend to sit back and expect everybody else to take the brunt of the battles and enjoy watching. But
well, I think what you do is you take your right to freedom for granted, and tragically freedom is no longer free. It never really has been free. Wars have been fought over freedom. Blood has been spilled on foreign lands over freedom. Now I'm asking them to spill a little green blood in the form of money to support their right to watch this. But for 20 years, the X-rated industry has been in the eye of sociologically accepted eye, and now they're going to have to admit that they watch it. I estimate somewhere between 300 and 400 million tapes a year are rented or sold. It's time for the people who watch these things to stand up and be counted.
But I noticed you didn't really go very public on this last show, even though it was down at Santa Monica Pier, which was obviously where a lot of people could see. It wasn't like, say, the Academy Awards where the fans are lining the streets to
Well, one of the things
that
kept the fans away, of course, was the prohibitive weather. Secondarily, it was kept as a secret because we really didn't want the world to know about it unless they paid to know about it. All the performers came free, of course. All the companies sent representatives for nothing to the show. And then the show was filled out by selected guests and, of course, Fox members who, as I say, paid $50 apiece to attend the show. Next year, they'll probably pay the same amount of money, and since a lot of them, even though they were told not to bring cameras in, brought cameras in, we're going to be a little bit punitive with them, and if they're going to bring a camera in, they'll be charged to bring a camera in. I don't begrudge that paparazzi situation. I want them to take pictures of their performers. A lot of them were having the program, and you were showing this. It's a very pretty blue and yellow affair, having it signed, which of course immediately becomes a collector's item for the fan who worships people like Tori Wells and Viper and Barbara Dare and Nina Hartley and Sharon Kane, Kay Parker. Kay Parker, of course, was put in the Hall of Fame, as was your co-star from When Love Came to Town, Joey Silvera, went in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yes, he's a great person. Yeah, actually someone was there with a Polaroid taking my picture after me to sign it, so I guess they did get cameras in. Well, you've talked about some of the awards that were given out. I would like to go over some of them because they are a little bit different.
Oh, yes. We strive to be different. We are anything.
The Academy Awards. And some of them I'm sure that I could understand, but I noticed like there were categories of Best Actor and also Best Performer. Now, what's the distinguishing thing there?
There are 15 categories in the X-rated organization. Some of them are simplistic, such as Best Actor, a single performance in a single motion picture, or video. In that case, Jamie Gillis won the award for Second Skin. For Performer of the Year, it's based on, and this is, apropos, body of work, which means all of the work done is judged, and we give out a male Performer of the Year, which went to Randy Spears. Randy Spears, in the preliminary nominations, had been nominated for 6 different movies, each in which he gave an excellent performance, particularly in Class Act, but he didn't garner enough preliminary votes to get to the finals. So he was separated and put into the Performer of the Year category, which he did win. Same thing goes for the female situation. The overall body of work went to the phenomenal Tori Wells, who also won Starlet. Now those sound ordinary. Those titles sound ordinary, and we do acquiesce to a little bit of the common title. However, when we get to what the organization is all about, we get into the very special awards, such as Copulation,
yes,
which is the male-female sex scene award of the year. That's the premier heat and meat situation of the year. It went this year to Tori Wells and Buck Adams for Chameleon. They were up against the likes of Tiana and Jamie Gillis for Adventures of Buttman. They were also competing against another scene from Chameleon between Debbie Diamond and Tom Byron. We also have Lascivious Lesbian, which I like to use alliteration, and we have that is also known as the girl-girl scene and more common jargon, but I like to alliterate and I like to make our category stand out from everything else. We have Lascivious Lesbian, we have Orgasmic Orgy, we have Torrid Triad. Those are, Triad of course being a 3-way scene, stand out above anything else in the history of this business. In the beginning, when the XRCO was created, in fact, the establishment sort of damned the organization by saying that it was going to be a dirty organization, and I damned them back by saying, aren't we dirty by nature, and that's what the world wants to see. X does stand for the whole situation based on we're showing them something they can't get anywhere else, so why not give them a show they can't get anywhere else?
That's true. Who invented these things? You said you like the alliteration, the sounds. Were you largely the one who came up with these?
The terminology is all mine. The terminology is all mine. The creation of the concept of the heart-on is mine. The X-Rated Critics Organization probably is mine as well as far as the terminology, because I was looking for something to play with. The XRCO aspect, most people think we're a gas company.
Who are you? Your critics, are they writing for like newspapers as you do, the Hollywood Press, or?
Every member of the XRCO is a validated critic in one capacity or another. A newspaper, a magazine, either has earned their way into the organization by having been published, and we are a nationwide organization. There are 20 active members at this point. 18 members voted this year, and what makes us unique is that we are a dues-paying organization. You don't get to vote unless you pay your dues. It's a modest $50 a year, and to that extent, 2 members decided they didn't want to vote this year, so they only paid $25 to remain member of the organization. It's an honor society. I believe in honor, I believe in truth and honor, and in fact, the overall motto of the organization is to promote truth and honor in the erotic film and video community for the enlightenment and betterment of those seeking the finest in adult entertainment. And that essentially interrelates with Fox, because we're dedicated to telling the truth to the public. The biggest problem right now between the adult community and the public is ignorance, because the people who represent the adult community, the salespeople and the companies themselves, don't have a way of communicating with the public in a fair and open manner. They simply put out their material and hope the public finds it. In many cases, the public is fooled into buying something that, because of the box,
looks... I've heard that so often, that people are just buying the pretty box.
They buy the pretty box.
They have no idea what the contents are.
There's nothing inside, essentially. The tape is better off being taped over rather than being watched. The box may well become the coffin in which the industry is burying itself. The gaudy box with nothing inside will destroy this business. So what I'm calling for essentially is an educational system, whereas people who belong to the XRCO and respected spokespeople go into each company and educate those companies about what they're selling. A prime example of this is I was at the recent convention in Las Vegas. I asked a sales representative of a major company if he knew about the movie that I'm wearing my little proud shirt, Frat Brats, and I directed myself. And he said, oh, yeah. And then I said, well, you know who's in it? And he looked at the flyer, and there the lady Viper that I live with is in it. But he pointed at another woman on the flyer and said, yeah, that's Viper. And I said, I don't think so. I don't live with that person. I live with the one who has red hair. I don't live with that dark Turkish woman named Cassie Nova. He said, oh, yeah, I know who Viper is. And he, again, pointed at the picture and did not point at Viper. That, to me, is pig ignorant, and those people need to be educated.
That's true. Do you find, well, that the public themselves are really at fault? They're picking up whatever is cheap and easy and not...
They don't know better,
They don't know
and they
better.
need to be educated, and they want to be educated. And the tragedy is, of course, it's their fault because they won't complain. They won't admit to watching this stuff, so they won't complain about watching it. I've asked the public to take the boxes, watch, if they don't like the tape, to take out the tape, stick a dead rat inside the box, and send it back to the company.
Oh.
But they're not going to admit that they watch it. They're not going to admit they watch it. Therefore, it's a famous line from Magnificent Seven, if he had not wanted them sheared, he would not have made them sheep.
Oh.
Bottom line. The public has to start bleating a little bit louder, or we're not going to listen to them.
Yeah, I get, since I write a column for the Hollywood Press and people write into me, I do get a lot of people complaining about the industry or telling me, well, why don't they show this or show that? And largely what I get complaints is from women who really want to see more romance in the films, not just the wham bam and the come all over and that's it. But they want to see a story, something that I guess they can get emotionally involved.
Well, I think that's analogous to the movie that we put you into, When Love Came to Town. There was a definitive story there. It's a remarkably romantic movie for the stuff that I make, because I like to do a little more humor added to my movie. But I think in the one you were in, it's a very valid type of operation. You played a wife of a man who had to handle a battered prostitute who worked in a nightclub, and I used the nightclub as a rehabilitation center. I developed a real humanity there, and that, quite frankly, is the first movie put together by the Pink Ladies. The ones that followed are not truly the first Pink Lady movies. When Love Came to Town was a movie that all the people involved in it were Pink Ladies. I was very proud of that.
Probably most of the audience doesn't know who the Pink Ladies are.
Well, we're very proud of the Pink Ladies. The Pink Ladies, of course, are the female organization within the X-rated industry that protects the women from the evils of the real world. It advises them of where they should go and dance and where they shouldn't go dance. There's a health column written by Nina Hartley, who's a wonderful lady, the little bowl of sunshine in our business, who won one award after another. Yeah. She's our mistress of ceremonies, and she's our good luck charm. It also has, the members include Portia Lynn, Brittany Morgan, Gina Fine, Angel Kelly. All of these people, very powerful women in the organization.
In fact, I joined.
Yes, and well, you should. The only male in the entire Pink Ladies, by the way, is the mascot of the XRCO, the teddy bear that I lugged around on the stage, Mr. Stubbs, who is the mascot of the entire Playpen of the Damned, as which I refer to the industry in general. It's a place where recess is 24 hours a day and the bell of responsibility never rings.
You know, you say that, and I was going to bring that up to you. You always say the bell of responsibility never rings, but you yourself are one of the most responsible and reliable and lovable and helpful people. And to say that, it just doesn't fit you personally.
No, but I'm responsible only to myself. I don't wish my life on anybody else unless they understand what they're getting themselves into. When I ran an agency, I would warn the people that what they did then and now would haunt them the rest of their life. So I keep them away from what they're getting themselves into unless they understand the full ramifications of it. That each person who's in this industry answers only to himself or herself forever, because we are sociologically damned once we do this. It will haunt you the rest of your life. I enjoy being haunted. I came into this industry to become immortal, and I believe that I am. That my image will last long after me, and so, for that matter, will this piece of wood. That's why it was created on wood, because wood lasts forever. Those little plastic and metal awards fall apart. This will be around long after I am dust.
I notice your name is on that one, so you have been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
tell us about that.
I went in the Hall of Fame in last year's show because the man who went in this year didn't want to go in until this year, Joey Silvera, who's a dear friend, and he's just naturally shy. He reminds me of a raccoon.
Yeah, he's adorable. He was my leading man.
Yes, he was. He was your on-screen lover.
Yeah.
Joey would not go in, so he said, why don't you go in instead? And so they put me in the Hall of Fame. And it was a very emotional moment for me, and I got up there and I thanked a whole bunch of people who would probably never be thanked again, people who helped me, like Titus Moody and Joe Robinson and the late Carlos Tobolina, people who allowed me to create my legend on screen, because a lot of the stuff that I've done on camera has been somewhat outlawed even within the X-rated industry, because I try and unlock the zipper of the mind. I go for what I think America wants to see and deliver it in a way that makes it memorable. Essentially, the stuff that I give them, I want to have them laugh, I want to entertain them, I want to tell them a story, and I also want to shock them. I don't want to simply do things that are ordinary, because I'm not ordinary, and I don't want the stuff that represents me to be ordinary.
But yet you do have a lot of standards within your own industry. I know there's things you don't allow.
Well, we censor ourselves from within. Of course, no kids, no animals, and no aberrant violence, which essentially means, well, first of all, kids are hard to control. Animals will bite you, and if we beat somebody up, it leaves scars. So why should we bother laboring with those untennables when we can just simply do stuff between consenting adults? I have never had anybody do anything that they didn't want on camera. I've never had anybody complain about doing anything. They do it because they're willing to do it because they are consenting adults.
So actually, all the performers at the XRCO Awards seemed like one big happy family.
It is family.
Hugging and everybody loving everybody. It was, it had a very good, warm, emotional.
Well, it is an insulated industry within which we protect all the kids from the big bad world outside that really doesn't have much use for us, tragically. They do tend to, the Hollywood milieu tends to try and lure us out to take advantage of us, but we protect them from the real world. We are a fantasy land, and only the people who live in this fantasy land understand it, and we welcome those who want to come into it to take a look. There were some real world looky-loos at the show, people who probably wouldn't want to admit to being there, but I'm going to name them anyway. Buck Henry was there, Carrie Fisher was there. They were both guests of Al Goldstein. He was there, and Al Goldstein and I are not particularly close. He once damned the lady I live with by calling her a tattoo victim who didn't belong in porn. It's amusing to see that the woman I live with and love very much, Viper, was nominated for both Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress this year.
Yes. Well, I'm glad to have you on the show, and I hope all you people out there will be looking for the next year's XRCOs, and all of you who are interested in supporting the erotic film industry will join Fox, or those who are interested in preserving your right to look, to watch, to enjoy. Till next time, thanks for watching, and bye.
Welcome, Frank.
It is a sad day for the city, Your Honor.
That it is. I'm going to be very direct here. I want this jail. I want it fast.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm hoping you're the man that can build it for me. Are you that man, Frank?
You bet. First of all, I'd like to let you know that I really do admire you so. And when it all is said and done, I can tell that you're the one. You can tell that she's the one. Now I want you all to understand that in this briefcase I have in my hand, just to prove our friendship has begun, I put a little taste for everyone. There's a taste for everyone.
For coming on our show, Bill, or should I watch my language with you? As I mentioned to the audience, I was going
of the 80s, won a decade-long battle to have his case brought before a jury instead of a judge.
In front of a jury, we think in San Francisco we can always get a fair trial.
Is that an important difference for you?
It's a real big difference. It's a difference between democracy and a totalitarian state trying to figure out a way to take anyone and put them away.
The California Supreme Court ruled this way. Theaters like the Mitchell brothers may be called public nuisances by some, but their owners are still entitled to a jury trial to challenge a judge's court order against them. The court decided that because the fines and jail time for violating court orders in California can be as much as the maximum for most criminal misdemeanors. Since those cases may go before a jury, so now may these. In San Francisco, Chuck Coppola for CNN.
This story just into headline news.
In the land of the free, raised in the woods so he knew every tree. Killed him a bar when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. Fought single-handed through the Indian War, till the creek was whipped and Pete wasn't sore. And while he was handling the twisty shore, made himself a legend forevermore. Davy Crockett, the man who don't know fear. He went off to Congress and he served a spell, fixing up the government and laws as well. Took over Washington, so we heard tell, and patched up the track in the Liberty Bell. Davy Crockett, seeing his duty clear. When he come home with politicking done, the Western March had just begun. So he packed his gear and trusty gun, and lit out a grinning to follow the sun. Davy Crockett, and
An exercise in elementary perception, ladies and gentlemen. No chicanery is involved, no natural laws of violence. See for yourself. Neither voodoo, hoodoo, nor Hindu. Prestidigitation, ladies and gentlemen. An old and honorable art. Now watch the little piece. And now you see it, and now you don't. Who will try his luck?
Amazing. Ain't so, their spirits will live and their legends grow, as long as we remember the Alamo. Davy Crockett and Crockett's Company. Davy Crockett, fighting for liberty.
The patient died of the disease.
Hello, welcome to our show, Sabrina On. I am your host, Sabrina Aset, the High Priestess of the Church of the Most High Goddess. As I always promise you, I'm back with another exciting and informative show.